All right. Welcome, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be watching this in time. This will not be a live stream, of course, but thank you for tuning in. I may release it as an instant premiere so that you can watch it and comment live in the chat, although I won't be able to respond live because it's not live. This is my first attempt at a different type of video. We're actually embracing more and more, hate to say, but it is the way things are. We're embracing a little bit more AI in our lives. Let me get this other light on. There we go. Should be a little brighter on me now. So what you are actually watching right now is the very first AI tracking red pill rhino video. Yeah, that's right. Everything you're seeing is not a cameraman following me. It is simply AI doing its best to track me, see where I'm going, and talk to you. So we'll be doing a lot more of this going forward. Obviously, this is a one-man show. I don't have a camera team. I don't have my own Blake, unfortunately, so it is just me. But I did want to talk about something. Before I get into that, I did want to address that we may be doing more outdoor or on-location shoots in the future if this works out well. Excuse me for this. I am trying some different techniques here, trying to figure out how to get this sorted. The ring lights on these are pretty good. That is working well. Don't know what that was. Looks like a little glitch there in the tracking. It may be picking up on other things like the flags while I'm doing this, but I am controlling this video with this little guy here. Normally I would do it with my watch, but unfortunately it interferes with the AI. Apparently the watch and the AI cannot work together with the camera being on. So I can't see what's going on. I can only assume at this point until I figure out a way around that. Kind of a cool feature. Normally my watch is able to see what my camera sees, regardless of where I am, but it doesn't work with this AI setup, which is fine, for now, we can use this thing here, and we'll do our best. Anyway, that being said, we are on location in front of said home. This is where I reside. You can see my flags flying here. Quite proud of those. And this is my garden. You can see we've got the peppers down here and everything else. So, and there's more stuff over on this side. You just can't see it because it's in the dark. But the peppers, the strawberries, yeah, some spices back there and everything else. Thyme, oregano, parsley, and so forth and so on, cilantro. Anyway, I digress. You guys didn't come here to listen to me ramble on forever. I just want to address it because it is the first video we're doing like this. Also, if you've noticed, the audio, as I'm further away from the camera, we still have audio. That is because we're trying out a lapel mic as well. That AI is learning, hopefully, how to track me better. That looks pretty good. So on that note, let's get into the topic. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is the office right here. I'll show you. If you look behind me, that big Trump flag that we have on the window there for all the neighbors to see, that is actually where the studio is. That is where all of the shows and episodes that you have watched over the years, at least the last year, have taken place. So that's kind of cool. A little bit of lore here. This is where it all happens. Hopefully, like I said, we'll be doing more on-location shoots in the future. I think it'll be fun. I think you guys will appreciate it. Let me know if you like this kind of thing. Like I said, I know this is kind of an odd first one, being it's late. My time, it is midnight, which is fine, because this is usually when we're still up doing after parties anyway. So let's get into the topic, though, because I've waffled long enough. But thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Okay, so 2 hours north of me, ish, roughly, is a town, a large city called Denver, Colorado. Okay, and something interesting has been going on the last month that a lot of news organizations are not talking about. However, if you get online and you watch channels like mine, or you watch TikTok or YouTube or other places where you get your news, real news, you'd probably notice that there's a lot of talk of Venezuelan gangs. Now, I have not been able to go up there personally and attest to this. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, although with this thing being my new eyes, we may be able to actually do that, which will be a lot of fun. But I have seen a lot of videos and I have heard a lot of speculation that yes, indeed, there are Venezuelan gangs taking over parts of Denver, especially in Aurora. Shocker, which is where my channel actually started. We were up in Aurora when this channel started. If you remember the old office, the old setup, that was the Aurora location. Now, Aurora is already kind of a wreck, if you ask me. Denver as a whole, I would say, is starting to go downhill. It has in the last decade. I lived up there for most of that last decade. I will tell you, Lakewood is still pretty good. Anywhere in Denver, I wouldn't advise living in, with the crime, the homelessness, the drug problems, everything that's going on there. Downtown is a no-go area, just in general. And this is just because of liberal policies that have happened in the last decade or so, especially in the last decade, I would say. Aurora is getting really bad. When I lived up there, there's a reason I am now here. You notice it's midnight, it's calm, and there are no homeless people walking by asking for money or getting high and passing out on my sidewalk. That is one reason I left Aurora. That is a big problem, and that is most of Aurora, unless you go out in the sticks. But that doesn't really count, in my opinion, as Aurora proper. That is just the suburbs. Now, that all being said, there's rumors of these Venezuelan gangs moving in and taking over apartment complexes in Denver and Aurora. Now, if this were to happen in nicer neighborhoods, I would suspect areas like the Cherry Creek area with the nice mall and the expensive homes they have down there. If it were to happen in somewhere like Boulder, Colorado, maybe, or perhaps Littleton. Okay, these are areas that are considered upper class, rich, bougie type. They're still liberal infested towns. Most people that are from here would call it the People's Republic of Boulder. But if there were Venezuelan gangs there, you can rest assured that the Boulder government would be doing something to eliminate that. However, we are talking about Aurora, and being from Aurora, well, not from, but leaving a year ago, Aurora, living there for approximately 2 years, which was not fun, by the way. I know a thing or two about Aurora, and yes, there are a lot of minorities that live there. There are a lot of Spanish-speaking people that live in that area. There are a lot of African-American individuals that live in that area. Unfortunately, many sections of Aurora are Section 8, and those apartments are already bad as it is. Even the gentrified apartments are still accepting Section 8 housing, and those get run down by drug dealers and gangs and everything else. Now, all that set aside, I point out that Denver's already going downhill because of liberal policies, but this is where it gets more interesting and where you should pay attention. The Venezuelan gangs moving into these apartment complexes and taking over and not allowing the property owners to even have access to those buildings and scaring the living hell out of the residents, right? Basically taking over completely. We live here now and you don't. What concerns me is the escalation of this very rapidly. We know that millions of people have crossed the border illegally. I want you to understand that some of those people are quite violent offenders. Venezuela in particular released a lot of prisoners that in our country would be serving life sentences for things like, how do I say this politely for YouTube? I know you guys hate the censorship, but just so we don't get banned for this video, a lot of grape and people deleting, okay, has been happening to Venezuelans, and those are the prisoners that were released, and a lot of those prisoners have crossed into our country illegally, okay? They would be doing life sentences once again here, but for whatever reason, they are now here. And I suspect a lot of these gang members that are now taking over apartments in Denver are some of those same set individuals. I can't prove that. I don't speak the language enough to go over there and talk to them and find out, but I imagine people willing to take over property semi-violently, threats of violence against anybody that stops them, may well not be the best people to interact with, right? Now, here's the point I'm getting to with this. So we know Denver has been one of the largest, if not the largest, sanctuary city in the country. Jared Polis has allowed this to happen. The mayor, I don't remember his name at the moment, but the mayor of Denver has been no better. The liberal policies they have up there, and I know I keep saying liberal policies as a blanket statement, but there's a reason I left Denver. It's not just that it's too expensive. It's not just the crime. It's not just the drugs. It's not just the homelessness. It's not just the rapid influx of people from out of the state with no jobs or maybe not legally allowed to be here. It was a combination of all of those things put together, not to mention the taxes and everything else, and the cost of living. Everything about living in a blue city immediately tells you why you shouldn't live in a blue city, right? So that being said, my concern now to you in your town, and I know some of you might live in the suburbs somewhere, some of you might live in small town USA, which is fine for now. But at what point does this affect you? I want you to think about your nearest large city, whether that be, I don't know, New York, whether that be Los Angeles, or maybe even Topeka, Kansas. I don't know. Just think about your location and St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, Detroit, Michigan, which is already bad, but just think about locations that you live near, and then think about the millions of illegals that have been flown in to this country and dropped off in the city of their choice. Many of them violent offenders, criminals, people deleters, and rapists. Right? Right? What does this mean for the future of this country, regardless of what political side you're on? I know I've got the hat and I've got the flag, whatever. I know you see that, and you automatically have tuned out of this video, which is fine. But regardless of your political views, let's say you're in the middle and you're still watching this, maybe even a leftist and watching this. What does it mean to you and your community when violent offenders from other countries released from their prisons have illegally crossed into our country and are now taking over sections of big cities? I don't think that bodes well. I don't think that has a happy ending. And I think we're only just seeing the beginning. I think Denver is the experiment. Why they're experimenting, I don't know. What their end goal is, I don't know. I think a lot of these people just don't care. Quite frankly, this is what they want. Replace the population with people who hate us. I don't know their end goal, or maybe they're too stupid to know their end goal. You never think that they're very intelligent, but when it comes down to it, they put the barbarians at the gate. And I am talking about the left. They put the barbarians at the gate. They've been doing it for the last 4 years, and now it's here. Now you're seeing it in Denver. I don't know where you get your news. Maybe you get it from me. Maybe you get it from Pop. Maybe you get it from other channels, Benny Johnson, Steven Crowder, The Quartering. There's lots of big channels. I'm tiny compared to them. But maybe you get your news from TikTok. Maybe you get your news from Rumble. Hopefully you're subscribed to me there. I don't know. I don't know where you get your news. But if you start digging, you'll start finding more and more of this in the coming months. The part that confuses me is why Denver wouldn't try to sweep this under the rug during an election cycle. We have, I believe, 84 days now until the election, something like that. And Denver is exposing what may be coming to every major city near you soon. Hence why I no longer live in a major city, which, by the way, is quite nice. I recommend it. Again, I'm out here filming at, I don't know what time it is now, 12:25 in the morning. I guess you'd call it morning. 12:25 at night, morning, whatever. I'm filming out here, and all I hear is the crickets, the frogs, and the air conditioners. Pretty nice. You won't find that in a big city. I've come from big cities. I can tell you, I would not have felt safe filming out in the neighborhood where this show started. And that being said, if your neighborhood is currently safe, I want you to think about what the policies of the left has done to this country in the last 4 years and what that could mean for you going forward. I would be very concerned, and I would start making a plan. I know I've said this before, maybe to either A, leave the big city, or B, to think about maybe slightly changing your location to avoid it as best you can. But I would not consider staying in big cities right now. Again, millions upon millions. I don't have the actual number in front of me. Unfortunately, with this setup, I can't pull up news articles and everything else. I can only bullshit with you. But millions and millions of people have crossed into this country illegally. We have no idea what their intentions are. We have no idea what their background is. And just to add injury to insult, most of those people are making more than people living on Social Security retirement are making per month, if not triple in some cases. The government is paying these people to be here. So, my end point to this video tonight is, what are you going to do to try to mitigate yourself from finding yourself in a situation like Aurora, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, in which these gangs are now starting to take over? And we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here, because I'm telling you, it's not going to be long before violence kicks off. It's not going to be long before these people start doing what they did to get them put into Venezuelan prisons to begin with. What are you going to do to mitigate it the best you can? And if you have friends, if you have family, if there's people you care about living in these large cities, I strongly recommend at this point that you encourage them, you give them information, you share videos, not just this one, but you go online, you look at videos, you find the information, and you share that with your friends and family, and you tell them, listen, going forward, where you're at may not be safe. I encourage you, because I care about you, to get out of there. If they say something like, well, I have a job, or I have family, or I have obligations, that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, you only get one life. I would rather your friends and family be safe. I'd rather you be safe. And on that note, I think it's time we all start thinking about our futures and how to keep ourselves out of harm's way. I don't know what the next 4 years is going to bring. I don't know who's going to be elected. I don't know if the election is going to be stolen. I have no idea. I don't know if we're already too broken to fix this country. I know a lot of people think that the two-way rifle range is inevitable at this point. So quite frankly, I don't know the answers. And I'm not going to pretend and lie to you and say that I do have the answers. All I can tell you is it is time to get ready. It is time to prepare. I'm not talking about buying 6 months worth of food and stocking up and living in a bunker somewhere, although that's not a bad idea if you have the money. I'm simply talking about making choices that keep you out of harm's way. This is not about raising hell and raising arms and fighting back at this point. I'm not saying to lay down and let anything happen in your neighborhoods. I'm simply saying to leave the neighborhoods that hate you, run by the governments that hate you. Let those inner cities rot if need be, but take care of you and yours. That is what matters most. If the time comes where we have to take a stand, by all means, that is a different conversation for a different video. Right now, what I want to see for you watching this video tonight, or morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching, is simply to keep you and the people you care about safe. That is my number one goal, and hopefully is your number one goal as well. Anyway, on that note, thank you for tuning in tonight, or this morning, or this afternoon, wherever you may be watching. I do appreciate it. Again, if you like this type of content, please let me know in the comments below and give me a like. If you'd like other people to see this content, please consider clicking share. And of course, you can always donate at $Red Pill Rhino on Cash App. Anyway, that's been it for me tonight. I hope this brought you some bit of information. And if you haven't heard about it, please look into it. Yes, indeed, Denver, Colorado, and Aurora, Colorado are having problems with illegal gangs taking over portions of town. Wonderful, isn't it? All right, guys, that's been my thoughts for this evening, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you, and good night.